fear thing that rises in everyone, right? Because yeah, wait, you're saying I have to play a serial killer and I have to be okay with that? Well, that's really scary. I don't want to go there. I don't want to think about that. And sure, not everything we do in our work is fun. Let's get real.
Right.
There are days that you're going to be on set living over and over 20 to 30 different times of your mother passing away in a hospital bed.
Mm-hmm.
No one was sitting at home going, oh, I can't wait to be an actor and like watch my mom die.
Yeah, 20 times a day.
Nobody, from different points of view. No one said that, right?
And I'm so
And so for me, again, it comes back to a lot of times that religious basis where, you know, old school religion taught from a fear basis because fear is so powerful. And I understand that, but I feel like if I teach you from a fear basis, I am not only setting up the square, I'm putting the square inside of the square and locking off all the other stuff that you had access to. Or it's like it's like a champagne bottle. Like the cork is that fear that you were like, ooh, and all that good, tasty goodness is underneath. I will shake your shit until we can find something to make it go. And now it's out. Okay, now we can manage it. Now we can talk to it. Now we can befriend it. And if you're scared of those fears versus befriending those fears, then you have no access to it. No character you can ever play has any access to any other part of you besides the stuff you're okay with showing.
And plus, you have more control. Don't you realize if you question things, if you are specific about how you drill deep with your character about certain aspects that you might dislike, certain negative sides of his personality, you will get so much more acting potential out of the whole process. You realize probably something that you don't like for yourself and that you know want to avoid in the future, which is basically also like a character building kind of tool right there for your own personality and your real life. But for your acting purposes, if you're doing the stuff that you are mostly afraid of, that will give you so much more tools for your future performances than anything that you will kind of have when you're just trying to play. You will need 100 safe performances in order to get that tool out of your system, instead of just playing that one performance where you kind of dive into those waters. And that's the beauty about our business. Like you're saying, like, yeah, it's probably not the nicest thing to do the whole day, like, you know, 20 different angles of seeing your mother die, but then isn't that what we want to give to people once they sit in the theater at you know, a performance that has dignity and truth, and you want to be that person that inspires the audience. You don't want to be that bad actor that tries to play it safe and where you're saying, oh, I could have done it better, it's not believable, and the scene is kind of ruined. So put in that, yeah, sometimes it's hard. Sometimes you kind of, you know, it's hard labor, of course. You get paid well and you get a lot of recognition, but in the end you inspire also. So it's not something that you kind of just leave at the door once it kind of travels with circles and it stays. So it's really worth the sweat and the tears.
Yeah. Well, I think kind of, you know, like one of the old sayings is, you know, what you want is on the other side of fear. It's that, again, that self-exploration, going into those things that you are scared of, continually expanding and letting it come back, and expanding a little bit more and letting it come back. It's no different than what we do with our muscles when we go to a gym. We work it to expansion and then we let them rest because they've had it and they couldn't take any more.
Right.
But now the next time you go, it's like, oh shit, I am throwing these weights around like I can go further.
Right.
It's the same. If, you know, none of us by the age of probably 15 or 12 or 22 some have actually lived enough life to bring what they think would happen if they were in this. I love when an actor tells me that. Well, you know, if I were doing that, I would probably do it like this. How do you know? How do you know that? You're not there, you're not doing it. So how do you know that you would do it that way? I always like the example of like the theater shooting, and it's like, okay, so if you were at that theater, you would have ran that guy down and took him out, right? Oh yeah. Liar. You would have peed your pants and dug under the seat as far as you could, but you don't know because you're not there.
Right.
So it's hard for us to take the you know, the actor POV of the script and go, well, I would do it this way, without letting yourself get in it. Because if you lock yourself into I would do it this way, you just locked off every other thing possible. It's again back to spirituality. As soon as I name God, him, her, it, whatever, you literally just took God and, well, yeah, you were really big, but I'm just going to put you right here. You just took away so much power from that source that is infinitely crazy, and put it in a box and said, no, 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 you can only be this. Well, you just took your power away.
It's it's kind of intriguing. I 3 years ago, I had a client and he had to play this archbishop, and he was very good actor, very skilled, very experienced, very good actor, and classical theater approach and Italian actor. And he was literally thinking about everything, like every tiny detail and aspect of this character, how he moves, how he sounds, what he's, you know, what he did, backstory, and also like all of his moments. And once I said, you know what, let's go for a jog. You know, we let's go jogging. And he said, what? Like, we're supposed to have a class. And I said, yeah, the class is jogging. Let's go for a fast walk. And then we kind of ran for a while. And then it's like, your archbishop is brilliant. He said, thanks. But why are we jogging? It's like, because he's also very boring. He's like, why do you think that? Because he's not believing in God. You came up with so many wonderful solutions and actions and little moments, and it's all looking really good. You're very experienced. You can sell me pretty much everything.
Yeah.
But it's boring because he's still not believing. Making rougher, but making believable because he's believing in something. But I don't think that my character believes in God. Well, then play that conflict. That you are a freaking archbishop in Rome that is not believing in God anymore. Doesn't that give you way more acting potential than just having that controlled execution of wonderful ideas?
Yeah.
And then, he got the call, but he almost got the fire part. But he said that kind of revolutionized the way he was doing the audition afterwards, because now he believed in this conflict. At least he believed in something, and he was struggling with that, and that kind of flipped the whole performance.
Yeah, and they can break down a character in a script like nobody's business, right?
Exactly.
And they can show you on paper the most brilliant thing you would ever see.
Right.
But when it comes to embodying it, they're still trying to make all of this happen instead of allowing that to happen. And I think that, you know, without the allowing versus the forcing, because again, when you force something, you are pushing against, which means we're just doing this.
Right.
I'm not accepting to take in, I'm pushing away.
Right.
And like you were saying, if I can own the problem, if I can allow myself to actually go into the problem of, I am this, but I don't know that I believe anymore. Well, now that conflict is within itself, and that's what all of us are. That is that yin yang that we're constantly fighting.
That's a great metaphor.
You just became whole.
Yes.
You just became the full yin yang instead of, well, I'm a little bit of yin, but I just want the tail of the yang. And
right. And also a lot of clients, you know, actors, they ask like, how can I do that if I have to, you know, observe all the directions from my director? He told me many things to do in that scene, and then I have my you know, my prep, and I want to execute everything that I kind of preparated for this role. And how is it still possible then that I'm natural and then I'm doing, you know, it's, of course it's exercise. No master has fallen from the sky. You have to exercise those things. Yeah, sure. You have to take into account what the director, the casting director is telling you, even on the spot, like, you know, modify a little bit, tweak here and there. And then, of course, you have to respect what you've prepared because you believe that those are the things that will, you know, convince the audience. And those two things, they have to melt together. Those two worlds, they have to come together. And at a certain point, once you exercise it so many times, it's kind of a natural behavior. Okay, now I have to go there. The director told me to pick up the phone. Oh, now I found a reason to pick up the phone. That's interesting. Now I can do it way more relaxed. It's not a direction anymore. It's natural behavior. Now I can think about what I did in the prep. Actually, this, you know, fits even better. So the continuous exploration, discovery, what we said in the beginning, I think that's, and also accepting the contradictions of the character into your system, even if you don't have those contradictions, because, you know, just face it, you know, these are what life is made of contradictions, of things crashing against each other.
Yeah. When it's, you know, when you go into the audition, our mind goes into the actor's mind of how can I book this?
Mm-hmm.
And when you're on set, it's how can I please him to get another part? You know, it's always constantly, again, back to that,
Mm-hmm.
who do I have to whatever to get this role, right? So I knee pads.
I know you. I can see
We've
that.
met. Yeah, that's you. I'm kidding. That was horrible. So, you know, I find it as kind of like internal versus external.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like when you work on your first few films, it's going to probably be with a first-time director. And a first-time director will consistently give you an external direction versus you embodying the internal direction that forces the external outcome. And I think that's where we constantly find that screw up, because one, we've got action lines written in the script that we're like, oh, the tear, I need to get that one tear on this part, versus what is the internal aspect that is causing this issues? What are the problems that are getting there? Because if you take the external direction and try to live up to it, well, then you're automatically on the outside of it and you're having to act in control. If you take the external direction and find a way to internalize that direction that forces, feels, or moves you,
right?
Well, then now you're not having to check in with that anymore because it found a home and it resonated correctly, versus that doesn't make sense to me.
Right.
That's the problem. You're doing a physicality that doesn't make sense. Find the thing that makes sense of it, then the physicality comes out naturally.
And maybe it's also, you know, we're living in a system where people, you know, there's somebody who tells you to do something, and once you executed that, you get money. Oh, you get your reward. So your brain constantly gets trained to obey and just execute. But when it comes down to acting, it's not so much that you have to execute it. But against the 9-to-5 job at the office, he doesn't tell you exactly when to do it. So you know what to do. Now, build up the momentum inside of yourself in order that thing that the director has told you makes sense to you. Don't just execute it right away because he told you so. Create that fertile ground where actually that direction could blossom up with that thing.
It's funny. I use the drinking water example usually when I'm starting that lesson. Is like, all right, so they said you need to be over here in the scene,
right?
Because the DP said there's better light.
Yes, and
there's better light over
here. Want to move the kid?
I look like lazy, right? So it's like, okay, so I need to be over there. So I'll just slowly walk over while I'm saying these lines, which is weird.
Yes.
But if there was a glass of water in that general vicinity and you happen to be thirsty during the scene, well, we just made sense of it without anything more than going, by the way, you're thirsty. Oh, great. Okay. Made that easy. Again, from the director point, because I love working with directors as well, because it helps them and figure out a way to give an actor an internal move without having to give that external thing, because automatically they want to please you. You're gonna get an external, emotionless, you know, intentless move that just looks weird, that you're gonna cut to some random hand moving and then come back to their face later.
That's why I love to be a coach on set also, because you kind of get this conduit. You become this kind of translator. The director's like, I need this. Okay. And then you go, there's like, listen, just this way. Don't you think your character could be thirsty? Like feeling the attraction of water in that scene could pull you to that corner. What you say? Oh, that's a great idea. Thank you so much. You get back. Okay. He's going to move.
Excuse me. I'm going to go act like I don't exist anymore.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and that kind of helps me also a lot to get better as an actor also, because I realize sometimes sometimes you just have to, and it's important what you feel. It's important what you've constructed, what you've prepared. By all means, you are that and believe that. But hey, it's, you know, filmmaking, video making, it's coming down to a group of people. And that's, you know, complicated but also beautiful. Everybody has his interests, his current, the things he believes in. Everybody shares a different view on spirituality. So it's not about pleasing them, but take everything inside what you can use, you know, and once you got it, you know, close the locks and don't let it boom and go for it and discard everything that you can use of what's useless. And
it's like you're always going to have external forces. That's what being human is, right? We consistently have an external force affecting us one way or the other, or at least trying to. So no matter what, I don't care if you've got all the character figured out. I could literally drop a wrench right there and everything's fucked.
Mm-hmm.
So there's always going to be something implementing these little bitty things. That one change doesn't affect the overall of this human being truthful nature, because we're all on that same level. We're all on the same frequency of trying to search for that truth that we're giving within our work.
Mm-hmm.
So if we're all working towards it, what is the thing that they just told you that makes sense? What version of what they told you makes sense? Because I don't have to hear, I can hear what they said, but it doesn't mean it makes sense to me. I need to translate that into my deanisms, right? That gives me something to embody more.
Right.
It was funny. So one time I was on set, and the actors I was working with, I don't remember exactly what the scene entailed. I just remember the director going, "Look, I don't, sorry, I mean, some good old spam call. I don't know how to say this to her, but I need her to be stronger and like just going at it right now. I feel like she's a little girly with it, and I don't know how to translate that." I'm like, okay, give me a second. Walked over and I'm like, "So I want you to do this scene like you have this humongous dick, and every time you walk, you have to drag it. Like that's how huge this thing is, and the balls are just following behind. You are just, I mean, you have to walk with your shoulders back. It's so big." And as soon as she entered this scene like this, okay, blah, 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 and he's just going, like, "I'll tell you what happened later. I gave your beautiful lead a huge dick and balls, and she killed it."